drill. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. This is a drill.
Hey guys, this is Julian of Julian Gray Media. Welcome to the November edition of Patron Fix-Your-Project, the series where you send me your projects and I fix them. If you aren't familiar with the series already, you can submit your project files in Ableton Live or SoundCloud links every month. I do these the second Saturday of every month. That's today. And it's available for patrons of $10 or above. The only reason I do the pay gate is so we don't get 1,000 submissions every time. When I first started doing this, we'd get 25, and I can't get through that many. So we always limit these to 5 to 6 entries each time. And the best way to do that is a Patreon submission link. So if you're interested in submitting for next month's stream, make sure to check out the link in the description of this video, or you can just head over to patreon.com/JulianGray, sign up for $10 or above, and you can submit your projects for the next month's stream. A few notes. I have a live stream coming up with Anjuna Beats. I'm hosting Anjuna Worldwide. That's going to be on Monday. It's 8 a.m. Pacific time. It's early because it's UK-based time. And I also have a release with Anjuna Beats coming up later this month. You'll hear more about that soon. Today we have 6 projects. 6 from, I think 5 of them from reoccurring people, and 1 entry from a new submitter, which is awesome. Please welcome him to the chat. We'll get to his in a moment here. I think we're going to start with his. But I want to do a quick thank you to all of the patrons that made this show possible and for submitting your project files to work on the stream. I know it takes a lot of courage to submit project files for someone to basically critique, especially in front of an audience, but it's a good way to improve and to pursue or get further along in your music career. So without any further ado here, guys, I'm going to switch over to my desktop camera, and we're going to get this thing started. I think I'll take a few comments in the chat first. Already love Static. Can't wait for the next Anjuna project. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing these. Yes, and Fresco Baldy gives us the 2 hands up, the praying emoji. Cool. I'm excited to get this thing started. So without any further ado, let me switch over to our main visual. Wow. Okay, cool. Let me collapse all this stuff we don't really need. I'm going to break out the chat. And we'll get this thing started. So we have 6 submissions today, like I said before. Oh, I already broke out the chat. We have 6 submissions today, like I've said before. I'm going to just stick this to the side. And I think 1 or 2 of them are new. The first one we're going to look at today is our brand new submitter, and his name is Tarantism. I believe it's how you pronounce it. I don't recall his full name, but that's his alias, and we're going to take a look at that here. So let's get this thing started. I'm going to collapse Ableton off to the side a little bit here so we can get the chat on the screen as well. It's my first song, so go easy on me. Awesome, man. Well, I want to congratulate you on getting started in your musical journey. You're in the honeymoon stage for sure. It's going to be really fun for a while. You might start to, run into some mental blockades, but I promise you it's always going to get better and worse as things go on. You go through periods of really positive, and you go through periods of I don't believe I can do this, but I think you're in a positive period right now, so embrace it while you have it. And never give up on pursuing something that you really want to enjoy, or you really enjoy doing, because it's a very fulfilling hobby. So let me turn off this camera. Cool. And yeah, let's go ahead and give this thing a listen. Let me know. I always ask you guys to let me know if the sound is coming through okay for these first projects, just so that we don't go 5 projects in and realize the sound is terrible. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. Immediately I get let me make sure the levels are good here. I'm gonna turn this this down a little bit relative to me. Yeah. Ooh, that's nice. I didn't expect that. That's really cool. That's really good. All right. Desktop audio a little quiet. I'll turn it up a little bit more. I don't want to overbear my voice. Here, I'll turn that up as well. So, in theory, that should be a little bit better now. Yeah. So, the phrasing on this is really great, like Fresco said in the chat. It keeps on getting more and more interesting, which is really something that a lot of even more advanced musicians don't grasp the hold of, like developing the song as it goes along rather than kind of staying stagnant. But this feels like it keeps growing and changing, and it's really, really refreshing and nice. That intro part right here, I'll carry this on in a second. I just want to point it out. This gives me crazy, like Stardust, Daft Punk, like music sounds better with you vibes. You're like one like disco sample away from that, but you kind of evolve from that into like this like Adam K, maybe even like the softer side of No Mana. It has this very nice progressive like plucky bouncy feeling. So you're somewhere in between like Daft Punk and like that, and I think it's like a really, really cool match right there. Ooh, baby, the music sounds better with you. You know? Ooh, baby, I feel like the music sounds better with you, baby. Yeah. It would work really well, like a disco-y type of vocal like that. The pluck is beautiful. Yeah, No Mana is a huge influence for me. I can definitely detect that. It gives me like maybe Constellations vibes, like that Over the Blue or whatever album. That one reminds me of that a bit. So one of the main critiques I have for this guy, because your pluck and your melodic sound pretty good. I think your drums are just a little bit on the softer side, and I think that's mostly volume. I have a feeling that you're kind of afraid to push them louder because they're, you're hitting zero basically. You're kind of at a point where all of your faders are close to zero, with the exception of these hats down here. But for your kick and your snare, it might be a little bit difficult to subconsciously push this over zero. So I'm just gonna do that. Also, I don't know what this is. Is this your kick? Okay, no, it's like a effects. I'm gonna color this differently because it's kind of confusing. But as for the drums, I'm gonna go ahead and turn these up. So right now this is very quiet. Let's see where we're at here as far as volume goes. Ableton's giving us a read of like -11, and I'm just curious where our pluck is relative to that. If we look at that here. So the pluck is like 5 decibels louder than our kick, which is not ideal for dance music. You want your kick to be like kind of on top of everything else. So at the very least, I want to kind of push this over, 4 or 5 decibels, just so that we can get this to an adequate level to compete with our pluck. Also, something that might help is a little bit more sidechain on our pluck. It can pull the volume down whenever the kick hits. Then we might not have as much collision there, but right now, the kick just feels very quiet, and I think the drums in general do too. So quickly, I'm just going to turn this up. Let's just neutralize it to 0 and see if that helps. listen to that with our synths now. A little bit better, but I still feel it's a little bit on the weaker side. We can make up a little bit of gain here in our compressor here. I know it's not the best place to do a volume gain. It's probably more correct to do it with a gain utility or something like that, but it's just easy and it's already here, so we might as well just push this up to 0 instead of -2. Now we're at like 6 decibels from where you were, and that should be about 1 decibel louder than your pluck. So that's a little bit too loud now, I think. I'm gonna pull this down to like -1. And let's compare the levels now here. So we're at -6.6, and then our pluck is at -7. We are busing this though. You're sending this somewhere else. Send to compressor. I got you. So this is actually your final volume for your pluck. So now we're at like -10. So yeah, the difference now is like the kick is about 4 decibels louder than the pluck, and I think it's sounding pretty good. Vibe Music in the chat, really great musician. It's not his alias anymore, but got to change that, man. All right, yeah. So the kick's a bit better now. I'm still not in love with how the kick sounds. I'm gonna grab a EQ on this guy, and I'm gonna pull out a little bit of the mids. Makes it a little bit less hard on the ears. Like, this is very boxy. I want it to be more of like a sub and click on the top. If we're going for no mana, it's a little bit more on the low sub end too. There's not like a whole lot we can do with this EQ here, short of like excessively boosting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a tool called RBass by Waves. I'll go ahead and freeze this afterwards too, so you can use it in your session. I don't know if you have RBass, but what it does is it essentially it takes the upper harmonics of the fundamentals down here at like 50 hertz or whatever, and it boosts them. So if you play a sound in nature, there's like this harmonic series above it. It's like an octave and then fifths up above that. And if you start to boost the harmonics up here, the bass starts to be perceived as louder or like stronger, even if it's actually not, by pure like volume. So what we'll do is we'll try to find the root note of this kick, and then we're gonna tune this frequency to that. So every kick has a pitch. Let's see if we can find it. So if we look at the fundamental frequency here, which is the loudest frequency of your kick, this is landing like right at A sharp. And you want to make sure that fundamental of your kick matches the fundamental key of your song. So right now we're in, I would say F, key of F minor. You're using an F an awful lot. It could also be an A. It might actually be D, because you're droning that D through the whole song, and D does harmonize well with that. I think the D chord contains a lot of these notes that you're using, so I'm just gonna run with D. So let's make sure that the kick is in the same key as the song. I'll go in here, and then basically we'll look at the spectrum. First of all, before we even deal with our bass, let's turn that off for a second. Let's make sure this is in key. So you're in A sharp right now. The note of A sharp doesn't actually exist within the key of D. That's why the kick isn't really melding with the rest of the song. So if we look at if we like went on Google really quick, and we just Googled key of D minor. You can see all the notes that consist of the D minor key. You have D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. And if you want to tune your kick to the key of the song, you always try to, generalize that fundamental into one of these notes. So you're at A sharp right now, which is technically B flat, but I don't think that's one of the stronger notes of the scale here. Usually it's like D, F, A, and C is like our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Yeah. So you want to kind of fit it within the triad, and that's the D, F, and A. And ideally you want to land it on your D, which is your root note, but you could also do the third and the fifth, and those are going to be your strongest options, with the D and the fifth, or the 1 and the 5 being the strongest options, your 1 and your 5th, which is a natural harmonic of the root. Sorry if this got convoluted, but I think we should try to transpose this down either to a D or to an A, because the A is the 5th of D. And I'm just going to do that. I'm going to take it to an A because we're very close to A, and I don't want to warp the sample too much. So we're at A sharp right now. I'm going to drop it 1 semitone. So automatically that's sounding a lot better. Let me show you the comparison. See how it feels like it's harmonizing better with your bass now, because that fundamental is now an A and not an A sharp. It's closer. If we put this in D, it would be much closer and probably like close to perfect, but I think the sample itself won't transpose that far without it being very aggressive. Let me see, how many notes is A sharp from D? I can figure it out in my head, but it's easier just to look at it. If we're at A sharp, we got to get to D. We either go 1, 2, 3, 4 up, or we go 12 minus 4 down, so that's 8 down. So I'm going to try down first, because transposing up kind of sucks. You lose a lot of the body of the kick. Let's try 8 down. It's going to be a big jump, but if it doesn't work, then we'll just try 4 up. And if that doesn't work, we'll stick to our 5th, which is the A instead of A sharp. So you notice how the bass is now really resonating with like the music of the song, but unfortunately it's way too low. So instead of doing that, let's try 4 up. See how it feels like good with the melody? It's because our root note here is now at D instead of A sharp. We can A-B what this sounds like. So like, you see how that fits and feels? Let's try this at our initial key. You have more low end, but it doesn't harmonize as well. So it's kind of nitpicky stuff, but I think it's something worth mentioning here. So I'm just going to put it to -1 because it's closest, and we don't want to harp on this all day. But yeah, A is sounding much better to me. And I want to give it some top boost so we have a little bit more transient crunch. You don't have a lot of that right now in this kick. Essentially, all we're doing here is just removing some mid, because this curve is actually the same as this. And for the sake of keeping it tidy, let's just do that instead. And then we can boost the gain coming out just a little bit. A little bit more on the top. And then what we can do is we can find what note that, let's say A whatever, A0, A0 is. So we're at 54 hertz on here, and you can find our bass. You can tune this to 54, and it'll find the harmonics above 54 for that note, and it'll boost them up. So here we go, and let's enable our bass. and you're still lacking a lot of high end. There's not a lot of crunch to this kick. I would suggest trying to find something a little bit more punchy. But it's definitely better than it was. Yeah, maybe we can try really quickly, just for the sake of making this easy. I'll go ahead and duplicate that. We'll take a drum rack and just toss on a high crunchy kick that we can layer on top of it so you have a little bit more punch. I'll just grab something from Leviathan. They have pretty punchy kicks. And we're looking for A. Not that it really matters that much right now because we are, you know, using only the click. It's not the body of that kick, but let's put that where it belongs. And then we'll cut off all the bottom so we're only getting the crunch. Remove the R bass. Turn that down a little bit. I think in general your stuff's kind of lacking in that low high end like crunch. Okay, so let's listen to this in the context of the song now. I don't want to keep harping on it while it's soloed, so let's go and check this out. Oh, Seamus, your submission didn't get through. You didn't give me access, so if you can send that by the end, maybe we can check that out. If not, then yeah, I don't know. Okay, so the bottom needs a little bit more volume now. Yeah, and then let's take a look at this bass. So the bass shouldn't be high passed ever, unless you have like a sub. That's kind of way too much high pass. You don't have enough low mid. And I don't know what the reasoning for this stuff was, but I don't think it's necessary. Let's just simplify this a little bit. Yeah, and then let's make sure we're not cutting too much of the filter here. You don't want to remove the low end from your bass. That's very important. Okay, and then on this guy, I'm gonna turn this up a little bit more. Actually, you're in Serum. I'll just turn it up there. We're kind of quiet. Yeah. Cool. And then let's put the kick in and compare. Oh. I think your sidechain is just like way too much. Yeah. So this is like way too strong of a sidechain. What I'm going to do is first, I don't want it to cut so much. So I'm going to increase the threshold. But second, I really want to delay this out for a second. I don't want it to initially, hit immediately. And then I also want to only listen for the click of the kick. I don't want it to cut the volume of everything for the entire length of that, for the entire length of the transient, the low transient on the bass. I think that's going to help this a lot. Maybe now we can give it a little bit more threshold. Yeah. Okay, this has a little bit too much bass. Yeah. Better. The bass is too loud now. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. Oh yeah, and I don't know why you have a high pass on your master at 40. That's not ideal. You don't have enough low end if you do that. And then generally you want to keep your snares and your kicks in separate channels so that you don't have to, you know, subgroup them like this, because you really do need an entirely different set of tools to accommodate your snare. So I'm just going to give it a boost in the high end, cut off the bottom a little bit. I see. So you're going to drum bus. You're not. I'm just going to run it to. Where are we going here? Yeah, I don't like the system of routing that you've done here. I think it's just kind of cumbersome. I'm just going to keep it as it is. I'm going to run this to. Let's see. Where are we here? Drums. Okay, so that's going to drums. This should be going to snare. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. And then as for the snare sample itself, this is a really, really weak sample. You need something sharp. It doesn't have any top end at all. It almost sounds like it's lacking all high end. If you look at the waveform on this, I guarantee it's trimming off the top, and the top is where all of the bite is to your snare. So you definitely need a better snare than that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and replace your snare because it's terrible. Yeah, you just don't have any top end. It almost sounds like you have like a global like low pass on everything, but I can't find it, so. Yeah, you see how that's sharper and it feels stronger? Let's see. I seriously can't find if you have like a low pass and stuff, but it doesn't seem like it. Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit better. This one's just very, very weak. Yeah. So let's hear that in the mix now. That's still like not a great clap either. Like, do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like maybe it's my let me launch SonarWorks really quick. I think I might not have my monitor calibration on, but check. How about now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, probably. Should be able to. Weird. Yeah, I'm not in love with how you have your drums your drums routed here. I think if you're gonna bust them, you might as well use the groups because it's no different and it's just more cumbersome to manually route. A little bit less in the snare. Yeah, and the kick bus it's difficult because here I'm just gonna overwrite your kick bus with 6 group like that, and we'll do drums. Yeah, so we're just not gonna use the kick bus anymore. It's kind of not necessary. Like it just kind of puts all your stuff down here that you don't really need to be down here. Yeah, and we'll make this red. Yeah, I'm really liking this track. And then for your compressor channel, I'm assuming that's your side chain. And instead of grabbing it from kick bus, I'm gonna just grab it from kick. Makes more sense that way. It's a really strange routing method here. There's really no reason to do it this way, but it just makes your life and workflow harder. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. So what I'll do is instead of doing it like this, I'm just gonna move your side chain from the compressor channel to, like, let's say the parent synth channel, because it does the same thing. It just makes it easier to see. Now let's make this 2 synths. Too. I think that's just volume. Oh, you have the volume automated. Yeah, it's just really quiet. I'm gonna turn that up with a gain. Maybe we can compress the bass a little bit so we have a little bit less dynamics. And it's a good idea to make your bass pluck at the same, speed as your main pluck, but I'm not gonna bother with that just because I don't want to harp on this for too long. We've already done 30 minutes on this song. So those are a few tips for this one. I don't want to carry on working on this if we're, we have a lot more to cover today, but a really awesome song, man. These guys are way too quiet. I can mix this all day. I love this. We're hitting the master loud now. Just turn everything down. Maybe a little bit of a master limiter would help here. So I'll just grab elevate. Actually, I'll do it in VST because I don't know if you have. kick still feels really weak to me, but there's only so much you can do with this sample. I would just go on Splice and try to find something with a little bit more bottom end. It's not too bad right now. Yeah, it's not bad. A little bit of mastering, like a little bit of high end boost, and maybe like a little bit in the low mid, like that's pretty good. Here, these hi-hats are a little too loud. Get carried away and just keep mixing this, so I gotta calm myself, otherwise we'll keep carrying on with this one. So yeah, this is a really great song, beautiful melodic work, and the arrangement's awesome. If this is your first song, man, you have a bright future. Yeah, super cool. All right, that's Attraction. He's in the chat. Tarantism, super awesome. Great track, and that was like very impressive for a first song. Everybody give him a round of applause in the chat for me. Cool. That was Attraction. Great one. Next up we have, I'll just do them in order here as we go. Fresco Baldi. Sorry, Eldon, Millions and Billions. He's a consistent submitter to our stream here. He is I guess a progressive guy, but it's more interesting than that, a little bit more old school. And he told me for this submission he's added like rap vocals to progressive, which is a very interesting combination. So let's go ahead and check this out. Don't know what to expect. I should probably collect all and save that last one. I'll do that really quick before we get started on this new one. If you guys want to ask me any questions while I do this, because it's going to take a second, let me know. Yeah, sometimes I get carried away on the projects that I'm really passionate about, and we work on it for 40 minutes because we spend 40 minutes on one song. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to really quickly open that last one again and just collect all and save so we make sure we have all the references. If you guys have any questions for me about anything we did in the last song, let me know in the comments, and we can answer them for you. Otherwise, we're just going to move on to the next song. But let me go ahead and collect all and save this first. If you guys ever submit a project to these streams, make sure to collect all and save first as well, just so we can get things moving along and not have to deal with sending me samples and stuff. Cool. Loading up Eldon. This is going to be awesome. I love his stuff. Missing Valhalla Shimmer. That shouldn't be an issue. I think he has it frozen. How to submit projects. Every month I do a stream like this for my patrons. If you are interested in submitting a project for next month's stream, go over to patreon.com/Julian Gray. You can find out more information about that. The long story made short, we do this stream every month for $10 patrons. You also get my lossless discography in wave form. You get access to the Discord server for that, and you get a role in the Discord as well, amongst some other cool benefits that you get as a $10 pledge. I also offer one-on-one mentorship, but right now it's totally full. All right, let's go ahead and check out Eldon Billions and Millions. Millions and Billions. I can tell this one's gonna give me problems. Let me increase the sample size really quick.
I make the world
move. There's that rap vocal.
I make the world move. I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some buckets. I want that swisher like bucket. I chill in the front but ain't frontin'. This is a different discussion. She do not want me, then fuck it. So nowadays I be like fuck it. Son, screaming I'm 1 in a million, 1 in a million. Hey, this is a 1 in a million, 1 in a million. Yeah, baby you 1 in a million. You know I'm 1 in a million. But she knows I got the moves. And they got the moves. I make the world move. I make the world move. I make the world move. I make the
Some of these vocals feel like they're slightly out of key, but then there's other points like here.
million, 1 in a million. Still in the front but ain't frontin'. This is a different
Like that's clearly in key, but this stuff feels like
I make the world move.
sharp or something. I would look into that.
I make the world move. I make the world move. I make the world move.
See how that feels like better? At -2. But there's points in the song where this is clearly in key.
I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some buckets. I want that swisher like bucket. I chill in the front but ain't frontin'. This is a different discussion. She do not want me, then fuck it. So nowadays I be like fuck it. Son, screaming I'm 1 in a million, 1 in a million. Hey, this is a 1 in a million, 1 in a million.
That is not in the key of the song. That note that he's singing right there, I feel like in the original, it might have been like a key change there or something. I would just investigate that. I feel like that's one of the major things that this is going to be dragged down by. I don't hate the vocal. I think it's tight. Let's reduce some of the high-end boost you've got here, and maybe like let me take a look at what else you've got on this vocals. They feel very processed. Let me see if that's like a U thing or a splice sample thing. So I'm gonna mute it all.
I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some buckets. I want that swisher like bucket. I chill in the front but ain't frontin'.
Yeah. Okay. So the reverb's a bit much.
I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some buckets. I want that swisher like bucket. I chill in the front but ain't frontin'. This is a different discussion. She do not want me, then fuck it. So nowadays I be like fuck it. Son, screaming I'm 1 in a million, 1 in a million.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can just do this.
Screaming I'm 1 in a
3 semi 4.
Screaming I'm 1 in a million, 1 in a million.
No.
This is a 1 in a million, 1 in a
Okay, I was right. 3. Yeah. So that's right now.
Screaming I'm 1 in a million, 1 in a million. This is a 1 in a million, 1 in a million. Yeah, baby you 1 in a million.
That is wrong. So we have to like address that. I think that's pretty important that the vocals are in key with the song. So
Baby,
we can always flat it one, I think.
baby you 1 in a million. You
Yeah.
know I'm 1 in a million. But she knows I got the moves. And they got the moves.
So how about we do the +3, which is a different note, and then we flat this one, and then this one's back to +3. I think that'd be cool, because that note is totally like the major version, and it doesn't belong in the scale of the song.
Baby you 1 in a million. You know I'm 1 in a million. But she knows I got the moves. And they got the moves. I make the world move.
Yeah, it needs to be. It's wrong key. The production's pretty cool. I think some of the sound design is a little bit on the cheesy side, but for the most part, it's not bad.
I make the world move.
flat at 1.
I make the world move. I made that girl move.
Maybe 3.
I make the world move. I made that girl move. And she make it last on me. I notice you wax on me. I go through this gas money. Like I never had money. Hey. 1 in a million, 1 in a million. This is how 1 in a million.
Yeah, it's a little cheesy when it's like transposed up, but being out of key is worse than cheesy. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to tackle some of the production stuff. I think the vocal's fine now, all things considered.
I make the world move. I made that girl move.
So my first note is like this lead is really like kind of obnoxious. I'm just gonna make it a little bit less aggressive. Not that one. Yeah, so that's like mega loud. So I'm gonna turn that down to like 0 here. Maybe reduce the reverb. I think he turned it up because it's kind of perceived as like super short and quiet. And I believe that it's actually louder. Our mind just has a way of perceiving short things as quieter, even if they're louder. So let's go ahead and just extend the note a little bit. I think that might help. Even that helped a little bit. Let's remove this like resonance on this filter. I think it's a little bit aggressive.
This gas money. Like I never had money. Hey.
Definitely better.
And they gotta move. I make the world move.
I think maybe the time-based stuff is just a little too much or something. Like, it feels quiet and like it doesn't belong in there, but it also feels harsh at the same time. It's big like 90s rave vibes, which is awesome. I think it's a little bit better. It's definitely better than where it was when we started.
And they gotta move. I make the world move.
Same issue on this guy as the last one. The kick's just a little quiet.
And they gotta move.
But as you notice, like we're kind of hitting the peak at the top here, and we can't really turn these up. So the way you can do that is just turning everything else down. We'll turn the kick up. So let's do that. Maybe like 2-3 decibels. Clap's a bit loud too. And the bass feels very quiet relative to everything as well. So I'm going to turn that up as well. Yeah. And then on our master here, he has a newfangled actually. I'm going to push the limiter a little bit more though. It's hardly doing anything. You notice here, this one sub frequency at 102 is really like rampant in the mix. It's really extremely loud. If we listen to it here, you can see. So maybe we can try to find that in our sub or our bass channel and pull that down a little bit. I think it's... No, it's not that guy because this is our sub. Let's try this one. So that's like this guy here. I think the reason it's happening is because the overlap between this one and the other. So I'll just go in our sub and I'll roll out 102. I think that'll help. And maybe above that as well. How are you guys doing today? Oops. Getting a phone call from my mother. Now's not the time, Mother. I'm fixing projects. Let's see if that helped at all. It helped a little bit, but it's still really pushing it at 102. Mother called again. I'll have to call her back later. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this up a little bit more, like maybe to 80. Yeah, that's probably better. I know what my mother's calling me about. I'll call her back in a second. I'll text her though, for your sake of mine. Hey, I'm streaming. Cool.
World move. I made that girl move, and she make it last for me. I notice you work for me. I go through this gas money, like I never had money. Ay, 1 in a million, 1 in a million. This is your 1 in a million. I make the world move.
May also be our kick that's creating that weird resonance there, but I don't think so. Because the kick isn't entirely loud. It's not.
I make the world move. I made that girl move, and she make it last for me. I notice you work for me. I go through this gas money, like I never had money. I make the world move.
A little bit more volume on the plot, maybe.
I make the world move. I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some buckets. I want that switcher like bucket.
It's sounding a little bit better at least. There's more mixing stuff I can do to this guy. Like I still want my kick to be louder, but I don't want to harp on this all day. Like like the last one.
I'm trying to make me a million. I'm trying to make me some
Hello,
buckets.
Haley DJ.
I want that switcher like bucket. I chill in the front but in front. This is a different discussion. Shooting, I want me the bucket. So nowadays I be like bucket. Son. I make the world move.
Yeah, Lee does feel a little quiet now. It's just very harsh, I think, because of the sound design, which is something that maybe we can work on in the next time, but I don't want to harp on this guy. I think we fixed the vocals, which is the main problem. The other stuff, just basic rebalancing, helped a lot. I think, we can continue working on this for a while, but again, I don't want to harp on anyone for too long. We already spent 45 on the last one. This one was about 15 minutes already. So yeah, sounding good, Mark, as always. Really cool, old school vibes. I love the rap vocal. It's very unexpected. Let's get on to the next one. So next up we have Fresco Baldi, Objective Escape Project. Let's get this open. Cool. Give me some questions in chat or some comments or what have you, so I can answer something while we wait for this to load, because it might take a second. You guys been working on music? I hope so. Makes me happy when you guys do. I don't have whatever that is. Skip all. My wave stuff is a bit on the limited side. Fresco Baldi always nails it. His stuff's always really cool, so I'm really excited to hear this one. It's always so unique. All right. I'm doing good. So he said, how are you? I'm okay. All right, let's go and check this out. Oh, fuck. You guys are getting it with a French touch today. Galactic Tramp says, Millions and Billions is such a cool track. Is creator of this tune here in chat? No, but he's on Discord. If you join our Discord community, he's in there. I think he lives in Australia, so he's not online right now. Oh, this has so much potential. That's awesome. Oh, my mother.
Like physically speaking it.
Okay, I'm really loving this direction. Again, it's like you guys have got that French touch feeling today. You know that song? I can tell by the look in your eyes. Yeah, so first of all, I want to tackle percussion here. I think that's the weakest link for this guy. The writing, the music is awesome. Okay, so this is like your accessory percussion. First of all, this is quiet. Let me turn this up a bit. And let me get some, let me get the toms and stuff in here. And the kick as well. Yeah, the kick feels really weak. I think that's a volume thing though. So just like in the last project, or not the last one, but the first one, you can kind of compare the volume levels here. You see how much louder like the clap is relative to the kick. I know that it's going through this percussion bus, but the kick just needs to be like, you know, almost at 0. So what I'll do is I'll group this so I have an independent chain I can work with here. And then I'll, you know, toss on a gain utility just so I can turn it up more. I don't want to push this over 0. That's like a pet peeve of mine. So I'll just push it up here like 3. Andreas says, do you know what happens if I only have standard Ableton and I open a project that has a sweet instrument in it? I believe you can buy the single instrument, but I'm not 100%. So this kick needs to be much louder. Let's see what we're looking at here. He clearly opens up that filter at some point, I think like around here. What did I just do? I just pressed something and now it's like weird. Oh, for some reason A is toggling my master limiter. That's weird. Oh, it might be key mapped. Probably. Yeah, that's weird. All right. Okay. Just wanted to toggle my, yeah, so you can see he turns off that high pass, which is nice. But I just want to make sure your kick is like the loudest part here. So in the part where the kick comes out, which I'm going to color differently so you can tell. Can I do that? Yeah. You want that kick to be like almost 0. Maybe a little bit more volume on the percussion, but like definitely make sure that kick is smacking. Probably do some low pass on the percussion bass bus too. Yeah, this high tom could definitely use some like high boost. feels very flat right now. Like, I'd almost say like a distortion or something to really push that and make it sharper, because it's very like right here, and I want it to be like stronger. So maybe we can try an overdrive. See what it does to the waveform. Adds more harmonics. Cool, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and toss in like the bass so we can hear how that correlates. I think the drums are sounding pretty solid now. So that piano is way too quiet, and it's not high-endy enough. It doesn't have enough brightness. This like disco house stuff is so important to have like sharp top end. I think your phaser is what's really detracting from that. Yeah. I love the phaser effect though, so I want to try to preserve that. You see how like less bright it is with the phaser on it? There might be a high pass on it too. Or a low pass on it, rather. Alright, piano's sounding better. Let's put it with the bass now. I'm gonna compress the bus. Let's just mute the phaser, see if it helps. Get the brightness all the way up. Maybe try the phaser again. I'm telling you, the key to this, like, that really sharp, like Daft Punk, Madeon, that sort of stuff is really just like boosting the crap out of the top end and making it really short and transient based. I'm gonna group the bass too so I can maybe give it some overdrive. Let's hear that with our drums now. I think it's gonna smack. So this comp's a little too loud now relative to everything else, so I'm gonna turn that down. And that piano has a lot of low end in it. I'm just gonna let me take some questions in the chat here. I didn't think about phaser detracting, but I hear it now. Yeah, phaser is a way of kind of like masking over some of the original like dry signal. It sounds good now though. Getting that French house like vibe on point. compressing this master way too much. Isotopes is a way of crashing every time. OTT on the master, it's an interesting choice. I don't know if I would... It does give it like that old school bite. Because of your excitement, I'm also upgrading my 2009 MacBook Pro to the 2020 MacBook Air. Congrats. I'm adding Final Cut. Thank you, Julian. Yeah, man. I think it's a good decision. I think the new MacBook Pros are going to be crazy awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on the Apple stuff, silicon. And like Chuck said, it is a good time to buy live if you are trying to get it into music. That's super nice. I'm gonna like crush the high end on those hats a little bit more. Maybe a little bit of an EQ first, and then we'll try like OTT. Just need some sharpness, like the. And the clap, I'm gonna remove this little cut you've done. Just boost it. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this mid-side EQ. It's a little bit aggressive. Maybe you can try one of these. All right, let's put this in the context of the mix. Yeah, it's a little dull as well. In general, this like disco, Madeon, Daft Punk type stuff is very high-end, heavy. You have to have that crunch, otherwise it doesn't like slap. Like Oliver, it's like his signature is like that over-compressed high-end. Yeah, super cool. What might actually make this even cooler is if you put a little bit of delay on it, like that 303. Just toss on like a, you know, one of these guys. And then on that piano, maybe like a touch more reverb would be really comfy here. Hats are a little loud now. If you're going to be handing this project back to the person after you work with it, wouldn't it make sense to use the multi-band dynamics OTT preset in live rather than the plugin? They have different sonic characteristics, like the OTT that Xfer has different characteristics, and also the workflow is slightly different, and I prefer the Xfer one, and OTT is also free, so nobody has an excuse to not have it. It's like one of the most important plugins to have, in my opinion. Any tips on mixing kick and snare transients on the every fourth note? Like, they always tend to flip, and I have some hard time retaining the transients. Even if I do retain, it sounds like trash. Clip, not flip. You're saying like the overlap of the kick and the snare. It's really a matter of picking the right sounds that are perceived as loud rather than actual volume. So if you have a really short transient snare, a lot of the times you can turn it up 20 decibels and it'll still sound like -4. You know, like it won't sound loud. But if you have a longer, like, you know, moderately long transient that has less of a quick curve, a lot of the times your snare is going to sound like sharper and stronger. Most of the time that is a sample selection problem, not a mixing problem, because you can't really draw out the length of a transient. Yeah. This is like kind of scary, but let's try it. So a little bit of reverb on there. I don't know, kind of helps. I think that this song sounds great now. It's like very like disco house, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a little bit of high boost on the master, just like maybe a little bit of that. Maybe like a little bit in the low mid too. Coming in kind of hot on the master, but sounds good, so yeah. Fair enough. So long samples might do the job. Yeah, so it's not a matter of like having your samples long, it's how fast the transient goes from like fully loud to the zero crossing like quiet. Mr. Bill did a really good video on this, like I think it's like recent. It's on sub bass, and essentially he outlined this idea that your volume is actually based on volume over time and not actual decibel level. So like if you have a sound that's at -4 for like 10 seconds, it's going to be perceived as louder than a sound that's like, you know, 10 milliseconds that's like plus 50 decibels, which is a really strange thing, but your ear is actually adapted to perceive like held out, like longer sustained volume as louder than just a single like pulse of really loud sound. So you should never like intentionally draw your samples out really long, because then you end up with these really like heavy samples that don't really like add to the song. They kind of just drag it down, like a oof, oof. Like for every snare would be way too much. But having a snare that's not just a little hit and then like the rest of the samples that like negative, you know, or like if you have a hit, the transient's like +10 and then the rest of it's like 2, you know, you have a sample that's essentially pertaining to that idea of like this is only loud for 1 second and then the rest of it doesn't sound loud. So that's Fresco Baldi Objective Escape. I think that one's awesome. Let's go ahead and check this out. I don't know if we'll get through all of these today, guys. We've been streaming for an hour and a half and we've only done 3. So I generally stream for about 2.5 hours on these streams. Oops, I'm not going to do that yet. Yeah, so next up we have Guard Data. I think he submitted first is the only reason I'm doing this one first. And then we'll get to Galactic Tramp. All right. Every time I layer the kick and snare, it clips or sounds trash. Yeah, I think it might just be the sample selection, because a lot of that overlap is you just trying to turn it up so it sounds loud and strong. If you use the right sample, I think layering together won't clip and it won't sound as bad. One knob fatter stereo. I don't have that, but let's check this out. Okay, guard data. This is one of my mentees. Really awesome guy, and let's go and check this out. Hey, King Julian. Hope you're okay, man. I'm doing fine. Check your in general, this is really solid. There's something strange going on with the music here. Your initial part of the song right here is a different key from your drop, and it makes this feel like it's totally unresolved, and it's consistently unresolved. So like, we're sitting here at F sharp. Because you're holding that dun, but the melody wants to resolve back to that F sharp. I think it might be your D in there that's really doing it. I'm just gonna mute your, or I'm sorry, I'm gonna unfreeze this. I don't really care about the one plugin you have on here. I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. Why are we getting no sound now? That's interesting. Oh, maybe it is that big of a deal. So if I just duplicate this, if this doesn't work, then we'll just we'll not worry about it. But I think that the problem is that your D is your root note, and the D is wanting to resolve to the F sharp. Just by music theory, that always wants to resolve there. And you're kind of just holding that D instead of resolving it to the F sharp like it wants to. There's this principle in music theory called stable and active notes within a scale. It's a theoretical idea that there's always a note that the note that you're playing wants to resolve to. Generally, any note of your scale will resolve nicely to the root note, which is your tonic. But if you're at a certain interval, sometimes they want to resolve a different way. So like your 3 wants to resolve to your 1, for example. And this D is like begging to be resolved to the F sharp, but it's not. Like it's never doing it. So you hear that like duh, it wants to go to the duh because that's the root note of the song. So here we go, it's unfrozen now. I'm gonna unfold this. So you have that. Yeah. So this D wants to go here. I'm sorry. This D wants to go here. So if you resolve that, it can actually be really nice in your song. So maybe like up to the E. And then up to the F sharp. See how much more satisfying this feels. I know it's just an octave, but the problem is you've contextualized this part of the song with an F sharp droning note in the beginning here. Right, that's your root note. And then as you get into this part, you're not gonna give it to me. So like F sharp, and then it changes. It's in there, but the bass is not carrying through that. And your bass is always gonna want to land on your root note, otherwise it'll feel unresolved. So wherever your bass is too, I'm gonna follow it on here. So D, and then we're gonna go to the E, F sharp. See how it now resolves to the key and it feels really comfortable? I think that's what you're lacking here. So, because you always have to resolve to your root note, otherwise you're going to leave the audience or the listener really unfulfilled. It doesn't feel like it's resolved. Oh, Che joined the chat. Welcome, Chris. Good to talk to you. Maybe we can repeat this phrase. You can even go like down to the B instead, and then, you know, repeat that again. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, something like this. And just repeat that. So instead of just repeating, we're just gonna do this again. B is the right note. Yeah. Cool. Fixing projects, I see. Yeah, that's what I do. So that's just an idea of a chord progression. Again, that's not something you have to use, but I think that if you're presenting the song when you open with F sharp, you're contextualizing the song as, you know, this song is in the key of F sharp, and if you don't resolve to that F sharp, it doesn't feel like it resolves where it belongs. I think he was going for a D major chord in the first inversion, so emphasis on the third of the scale, which is F sharp. Yeah, it just feels like it doesn't resolve though. So like, it just kind of lingers there. There's a little bit of delay because the speaker's into my mic, but nothing I can really do about that, and I'd rather mix on my head or my speakers than my headphones, because it's like it would make it my feedback less valuable, because yeah. So I don't know, man. I encourage you to check out this idea of switching up the melodic structure a bit here, just to make it a little bit more interesting, and to resolve back to the root note, because you don't do that in the original, and it feels very unresolved, and the listener is waiting for that F sharp in the root note, or I'm sorry, the F sharp root note of the song, which you never actually reach. with the original MIDI. But the composition's stunning. Like the groove of the bass, the little effects you have in there, and the sound design is sick. It's just the music that needs a little bit of help. I don't know why my mouse is scrolling all of a sudden. Hello. That was weird. Yeah, there's definitely some layers in here that aren't like aren't fixed. I don't think this is even on. Oh god, this guy is way out of key. I don't think G is in the key of F sharp, but the D is correct. But I would make the D move with the rest of the song like we've, you know, established in the other stuff. If you're going to do a kick and serum, just make sure to, you know, transpose it the same way. So, like, make your root note follow the bass line we just wrote. So let's skip ahead a little bit here. We didn't really get to the... Yeah, we'll just... And a little bit weird stuff happening there. You know what, Fresco, I think you're right. He was implying that the major, because right here it feels like he is. It's just a weird chord structure. Like, doesn't like make a lot of sense. And then this part is clearly minor. That's interesting. That's like not even in the key. Yeah, guard data, I would say one of my main critiques for this guy is just to make sure that all of your stuff is in the key, and just to work on your music theory a little bit here, because the production and the arrangement and the composition of like the electronic elements are really nice. Like the drums sound good, the bass sounds good, the sound design, I mean, but a lot of the music stuff just needs a little bit of help. It doesn't have like a cohesion to it. It doesn't feel like one big song. It feels like a lot of smaller pieces. So yeah, I think we'll just play this last part here. It's Fresco. It's a little bit weird because right here he's playing that the D with the F sharp here, and this chord just gives me this sense of unresolved because he's playing the F sharp above the D, and the two are implying motion that's not happening. Oh, something weird's happening there. Like the bass is definitely not in the right key. Yeah, but everything's sounding pretty good as far as mix and stuff goes. I'd say the main issue I'm having is the music-y stuff. Yeah. Yeah, just maybe in one of our future sessions together we can work on this guy and try to iron out some of the music stuff, but I don't want to harp too long on it because music writing is very subjective and it's not something that I can teach really. It's more of like you have to know your rudiments, basically. You have to know the basics, and then you can pretty easily come up with your own melodies. Okay, so that's guard data, or gar data, however you say it. We're gonna collect all and save and move on to the next one. Really cool track. Just work on the music a little bit more, man. Let's see what's next. That one was that one. We have 3 more. Galactic Tramp, Road Ahead. Who's in the chat right now? Who's in the chat? I'm surprised my cat isn't like lingering. Oh, he's on the couch. That's cute. Little baby. I love my cat. Okay. Is this not the one I just opened? Did it not do it? Where was I? Let's try this again. Are you planning on buying any plugins for Black Friday? I might actually pick up the full version of Melodyne. It always goes on sale around Black Friday. Was making dinner for myself. Yeah, I gotta eat lunch soon, guys. I might do like 1 or 2 more of these, and maybe the next ones we can cover in the next stream. We've been going for about 2 hours almost. This project's taking like ages to load for some reason. Let's see how this goes. We've covered like 4 already, I think. 5, maybe. All right, here we go. Galactic Tramp, Road Ahead. Let's check this out. That music's cool already. A little on the quiet side, but I feel like he's doing that on purpose. Like the dynamics are moving. Yeah, it's nice. I think it's just in general a little quiet. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit here, just so you can hear it better on the stream. Yeah, nice. Alright, I already know a few things we can change on this guy, but the writing is awesome. It just feels very unbalanced right now. Yeah, that's super pretty. All right, I think I get the gist. Yeah, there's so much potential on this guy. This sounds like a completed track that's not mixed properly, but we'll get to that in a moment here. So first of all, let me neutralize this to where it was. I'm gonna do this to 0. First of all, everything is very quiet, so I'm gonna put a utility on pre-limiter here. We'll bump it up like 6-7 decibels like we had on the ozone, maybe even 10. So we can actually start to hit the limiter, because right now we actually aren't. We can also do that adjustment here, but this only goes up to like 10, and we might need more than that, to be honest. Somebody said, I noticed you talking up Eventide Elevate on Twitter. What advantages you say it has over Ozone? They're both really, really good limiters. I just like how Eventide has essentially a graphic EQ for compression, so you can find exactly what frequencies are pushing over and too loud, and you can dial those back, or you could reduce the compression on certain elements or certain frequencies on your master channel, which is awesome. Ozone is equally great. I mean, it has a really good compression algorithm, but yeah. Okay, clearly better already, but we're gonna keep going. The kick is like really quiet as well. So what I'll do is I'll group this into a group because I don't have your plugins. We'll go ahead and do, oops, not delay. Yeah, delay on the kick. No, we're gonna put in a utility, boost it by maybe like 4 decibels here. Like the glue on the master. It's a little too colored for a full signal, if you ask me. So let's start this from top to bottom and quickly go and mix. Kick first. Like I keep saying, you want that to generally be like above everything else. We are adding like 10 decibels here in the master chain, so this is probably adequate. Where are we right now? Negative like 17. Maybe we can give it a little bit more, like a few more decibels here. Negative 15. Yeah, so we're at negative 5 now. That's probably reasonable enough. Let's go ahead and add the bass in now. These guys are mega quiet. Sidechain feels pretty tight. I'm just gonna add another one for the sake of my sanity here. Ideally you only use one, but shouldn't make that big of a difference. So let me turn the threshold down, crank the ratio, make the attack almost nothing, and then we're listening for only the click of the kick drum, so we aren't wasting all of that volume on the entire transient of the kick. We can give it some gain here in the so we are really cutting. A little bit loud. Somewhere around there. Yep. Okay, so after that, I think we can add some of the stabby synths, like the more like plucky. And on this group, I'm gonna compress the bus. Kind of flatten out the dynamics of this group. That already sounds good. Oh, and I'll just grab the honk. I'll just grab the sidechain from our bass and just toss it in the ARP here. Okay, so now we're probably pushing the ozone a little bit too much, so we'll pull back some of that volume. Have your synth plugin, but if I did, I would recommend removing some of the high end from your delay. It's a little bit distracting. On might be this guy. Yeah, just pull some of the high end out. Like pull this down to like here. That's already better, a lot better, but we can keep carrying on here a little bit more. On our guitar, I'm just going to compress that a little bit, just essentially trying to flatten the dynamics of a lot of this stuff. Can hardly hear a clap in there if there is one, so I'm gonna make this 0. First things first, you never roll off the top of a clap. Biggest no-no. You actually do the opposite. Boost the high end so you can get more punch. And then we're gonna cut out some of the low end actually. You give these some volume boost too. It's really quiet. One of these is really ringy. That one. Yeah, that's got to go. So what I'll do is I'll high pass it. Yeah, that heavy bottom end is both out of key and just too long. We might even be better off if you mute it. Maybe a little bit of verb on that would be super clean. Come on, bud. Super cool. The shaker and the hi-hat are just too quiet. Like I've been telling you the whole time. It's too quiet. Never ever automate your volume on your channel because it makes it so that you can't do a gut change like this without having to automate, and that sucks. So just use a gain automation instead if you're going to automate volume. Yeah. That's way out of key. Where are we here? Okay, and then one of the last things I want to address is that little roll snare thing. It's so heavy. Like, tanks the momentum of the song every time it comes on. Because it's way too deep. You gotta prioritize the high end. It just feels so empty. Or, I'm sorry, so heavy. So let's do this. Hey Mark, we already covered your song actually. Yeah, something like that. I think I'm missing your EQs. You may have already done that, but yeah, it's sounding pretty tight. Make sure when you send in another project for next time, you take a look at my project or my plugin list, so you know what I have and what I don't. That's sounding really good. And then on my master, I just want to grab, like, you know, an EQ, maybe a little bit of high end, and again, that lower mid, and maybe some low end. That's sounding really good. I could, again, this is another one that I could keep mixing all day because I love it. A little bit of high end on the ARP maybe. And when you say it sounds much more clear, a lot of that is just opening up the high end. That clear top end is where all the transparency is. It's where the energy is. It's where the intimacy is. So make sure to have that high end in your mixes. Otherwise you end up with a really muddy sounding mix. That's way too loud. That one ARP gives me Majora's Mask observatory vibes. Yeah, I totally hear that. Like the wizard guy with the telescope, and he sees the moon, and he drops the tear for the little Deku guy. Okay, I will be more intimate in the future and use more highs. Yeah, like think about like ASMR, for example. You know how like personal that feels and very like present? It's because of that high crispness. It kind of makes you uncomfortable if you don't use it right. All right, that's a great track, Galactic Tramp, Road Ahead. Really well composed. I think it's probably one of the better compositions of today. It sounds like a finished song, just needs a mix. Okay, next up we have Tarantism Attraction. Let's try this one. Oh wait, we already did that one. Hold on. Okay, so we have one more. I don't know what project this is. Somebody just sent me one that says Tryhard's Discord Sample Challenge Project. If you didn't know and you're not in our Discord, you should join because we do a weekly challenge led by his name's Nick Tidris, and he does a weekly challenge in the Discord where he basically gives you a sample and you can flip the sample in a certain way, or some sort of challenge every week, and it's really enriching and cool for starting musicians to have a little bit of a assignment, I guess, to help them improve. Well, we used to, apparently. but if we do them in the future, I'm sure you'll find them in the challenge chat on Discord. Okay, Chuck Nunn, this is his project. Intimacy is cool, so is communication. I was intimate once. Hello, Porthnol. It's our Gradient boy. He shot the video for Colors Volume 2, which is available now. We still have a few CDs left. I think we have something like 30% of the CDs left, so if you guys want to get one, you can pick one up, and you can check those out on the Gradient website, gradientcollective.com. It's my first physical release of like a year, so if you want to get that, you can. Yeah, let's play. Kick's good. This is already sounding pretty solid. I might like obliterate your arrangement though, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff here, but the arrangement doesn't really make sense with this intro. Oh, I'll work on it. Okay, there's definitely mixing stuff that can help on this one. That's so cool, though. All right, let's get to mixing this, because I think that mixing is the main thing that's going to help this guy out. Some of the arrangement stuff's a little weird too, but first and foremost, let's get some of these basic mixing things out of the way. So first, the bass is like non-existent in the mids. I'm gonna turn this up like a lot. Better already. There's also not enough crunch there. We can try like maybe an amp. Oops, not a redux. I just keep clicking the wrong things today. Put it here and just give it a little bit of boost. It's just kind of, it doesn't have any body to it. It doesn't have any like crunch or mid. What I don't want to do is make this into like an electro bass, like super aggressive. I'm just trying to thicken it up a bit, you know? Okay, the wider thing's gotta go. There's also this really cool resonant fifth thing going on with this bass that I'm trying to, you know, pull out a bit more. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, something like that. And then let's put in the kick now so we can, you know, get these two working together. Steve Duda has this incredible quote about, like, he can make a better mix than, you know, 80% of engineers with nothing but volume. And it's so true. The difference in volume is so important. You probably noticed I haven't really changed too much. I just turned things up or down, a little bit of EQ here or there, but it's a noticeable difference. Yeah, nice. Boosting the high end on the hats. Cool. All right, let's put the pluck back. And what I'm going to do is just group it so that I can compress it. I want to add a little bit of dynamic shaping to that. It feels a little bit too soft, and there's a lot of dynamic between, like, the start of the transient and the end, so. Something that'd be really cool on this, guys, is because you're repeating that quarter note and it's kind of just smacking. It's not even a quarter, it's like a dotted eighth or something. If you put a bit of delay on there, so like the delay kind of overlaps with the note, it would be really cool effect. Yeah, you see how much better that, like, fits in now with the compressor and the delay? Really blending nicely. Let's try adding the ARP in now. Okay, so this is our, like, our lead per se, so I want to make sure that this is really forward. And you do that by giving it some high end and make sure that, you know, it's kind of loud enough to speak for itself. So I just increased the reverb a little bit, and I'm going to compress after the reverb so I can flatten the dynamics a bit. Yeah, that's sounding good, man. Really good. Okay, a few other things. I want to make sure that we're sidechaining all of these smaller elements because they really aren't moving the way that the rest of the bass is and stuff. So just basically same sidechain shape that I always go with, kind of like a really fast attack, listening for the click, and then just cutting down. Ah. Okay, that's not gonna work. We can listen for like the mids only then. Yeah, that should work. All that distraction in the high end is a little bit much. Oh, if you have LFO tool, I'll use that for sure. That's a better option. And when you use LFO tool, make sure you massage this end a little bit so that you don't end up with a distinctive cut from, like, 5 decibels to 0, because you end up with this weird wonky zero crossing and a click at the end. That's why you get like weird clicks on the end of your sidechain on Ableton. Yeah. Nice. All right, let's hear this. So it's just like a little subtle sidechain here on the lead ARP. And then on our bass, I'm going to make this a little bit more aggressive. Something like that. Yeah, that's so clean now. It's sounding really good. Those are most of the adjustments to make with the mix. Let me double check these little guys down here. These are all kind of like smaller effects. Goose. I love it. Geese are my favorite. So these chords might have to come up a bit more to match the rest. Yeah, let's check this out now. Okay, let's try this. Because right now it feels very empty in this first half. But I feel like this might be resolved with a little bit of mid bass, and then if we just high pass the mid bass right before it hits, you end up with this really cool sweep, I think. Yeah, that's cool. And then maybe we can do the same on the kick too. So if we group this kick in and just paste that high pass curve right here. See how much better that feels there? Yeah, and then let's turn the goose down a little bit. It hurts me to say that because geese are the best. And add a little bit more decay so it feels like it's not just, you know, chilling in the foreground. Okay, wherever that other like groove thing is, that's really like noisy. Let's mute that as soon as we hit the drop. If I can find it. I think it's this guy? No, maybe it's this one. It's on the kick. Got it, right. So we can't remove it. I don't know, like, what's causing that? It's got noise. Okay, in the kick sample. Got it. Okay, never mind. Nothing we can really do about it, but I think if you, like, for example, if we just duplicated this kick really quick, and then let's just kept the noise one here, and, like, maybe I can, like, shorten it so it doesn't have the noise for the second half. Unfreeze. And then we do, like... peculiar. Also, this is weird. I wouldn't advise doing that. So maybe we can just grab the transient only. Yeah, just do that. And just, this is why I like to do my drums in MIDI, because this is a pain in the dick every time. Just copy, like that. So that this first part just feels minimalistic and cool. Now we can introduce the yeah, so the mix sounds much better now. One other thing I'm going to do before we call this one a wrap, I'm going to put the utility before the limiter. That's always a good idea. You never want to put your you know, anything basically after your master limiter, because your master limiter, you want to be as close to 0 as you can. You never want to go over 0. So if you push something after the limiter and it pulls it down below, then you end up with a quieter signal than it should be, because you want it to be as close to 0 as you can. And if you push one above, then you end up with a clipping signal that's going to hit your DAW limiter, and it doesn't sound good. Could sound good. I've seen people use the DAW limiter in creative ways, but it's not ideal for most mixing. What I'll just do is I'll take this part down about 3 decibels, -3. So when we hit that really cool switch up, it's actually right here. Yeah, there's a noticeable difference in volume. And what that'll do is it'll make this part feel really strong. So let's start the song. Listen to this transition here. The goose can probably go here too. Yeah, so that's sounding really good. Mix is ace now, if I do say so myself. Okay, collect all and save that. So that is all 6 of today's projects. That was really fun, guys. These are always fun to do. Always have a lot of fun fixing your projects. Thank you to all of the patrons who submitted today. If you want to submit for next month, make sure to check out my Patreon, patreon.com/JulianGray. And whenever you see the stream link go up on Patreon, get your project in as fast as you can, because I only do about the first 5 or 6 because it takes hours and hours to do these. So if you want to get your track on the next stream, go over to Patreon and submit your project as fast as you see that that link. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and zip these up, and I'll send you guys back this link. If you're one of the patrons, it'll be on the Patreon page. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any final questions, let me know in the comment section, and then we'll call this a wrap. Maybe work on your own music next time. Yeah, Porth, I do these Fix Your Project streams every month or so that patrons can get their music critiqued. It's better than like a SoundCloud link or whatever. Yeah, and then I do sometimes do my own music streams, but generally I like to keep my own music private until it's like ready to release, so that you guys get the best perspective of it rather than like ruining it by spoiling it. So I always like to try to keep it secretive until the release of the song, at least to a certain extent, and then that prevents me from working on music on YouTube. But anyway, guys, that was all 6, or might have been 7 today, projects. And yeah, Chuck says new tune later this month. Yeah, I have a song coming out on Anjuna Beats later in the month. It's gonna be really cool. It's a remix for a pretty big artist on Anjuna. And then also, if you guys are not busy on Monday, at 8 a.m. Pacific time, I'm taking over Anjuna's Anjuna Worldwide stream. So if you want to check out my guest mix on there, you can check it out. It's one of my favorite streams, or favorite mixes I've done in a while. I did it like sitting on my bed, and it was awesome. So it's going to be fun. If you get Ableton Live 11 beta, try to do a stream. Yeah, I absolutely will as soon as I get 11 beta. I reached out to my friends at Live or Ableton, and they said, they're working on it. So I should have it in my hands, the next week or so. And when I do get it, I have this really cool project planned where I have all these old Apple laptops that I'm going to install Ableton version 1 through 10 on. It's going to be really, really fun. I'm sorry, a 1 through 11 on, and we're going to look retrospectively through every single version of Live. Okay, guys, it's been a great stream today. Thank you guys for watching. Patrons, you can go and download your project files at the link in the original post on Patreon. And I guess I'll talk to you guys in the next video or the next stream, whatever happens first. If you want to catch up with us, go and join the Discord server, discord.gg/JulianGray. All right.